Lunala is going to be coming to raids in Pokemon Go. But before it comes to Pokemon Go and raids, which by the time you're watching this, it's out now. But you still have a bunch of time for you to raid it. And while you do it, before you do it, I should say, let me turn on Do Not Disturb. Before you do it, there's a couple things that I want you to do. Now, this is just going to be a good guide for this video. So if you want to do Lunala raids, this would be the best thing to do. Now, just like Solgaleo, I think unfortunately these aren't going to be able to be shiny, which is kind of unfortunate. I would have really loved to see these shinies because they look absolutely stunning. There was a glitch in Pokemon Go a while ago, fun fact, to where you could actually see these shinies in the Pokédex, which unfortunately that is not the case anymore. But we are actually able to do some raids, which is nice. Now, the cool thing is, Lunala and Solgaleo with, I believe it was one of the Go Fest we got when we got Solgaleo, Lunala, Dawnwings Necrozma, and Dustmane Necrozma. Back when we got those in raids, we had to combine our Necrozma and Solgaleos into that in order to make Dawnwings or Dustmane Necrozma. And it took the background Lunalas and the Solgaleos that we got. However, with these new raids, technically you can separate them and you can keep the one with the background and then use the Pokemon, this one, whatever one you catch, and now grab it, unseparate. Now, the thing is with reseparating it, from separating it and then adding it back together with a new Pokemon, the only thing is, I don't think it saves how much you power it up, right? So that means all the candy and all the Stardust you just used to power up that Pokemon is just poof, poof, literally gone. So personally, I would love to have like Lunala or Solgaleo, the ones with the really cool backgrounds. I would really like that. However, with spending over 300,000 Stardust, so much rare candy, so much Necrozma candy, so much remote raids to get the candy and stuff for that, I feel like personally it's not too worth it to separate. However, if you're watching this and you have like a better Lunala with a better IV Lunala, then you could, I think, what is it, better Lunala? I don't know if it's better Necrozma or if it's better Lunala. So if it in the comments, which IV matters more? Is it Lunala or Necrozma? Let me know in the comments. But either way, if you separate, either way, you can add a new Lunala if you wanted to, right? On top of that, a lot of people need to upgrade their Cosmog to Cosmog, and sometimes it's not easy to get Cosmog or Cosmog candy because the only way you can really get it is maybe from research, but I don't think you get enough through research, so you have to get it through either your buddy or you have to get it through rare candy, which makes it a little annoying. However, you can catch the Lunala or Solgaleo with raids, and you don't have to go through all the upgrading process, which is nice, like the evolving process. Look, personally, I love Lunala. I love Lunala more than Solgaleo, in my personal opinion. I would love to know which one you prefer, Solgaleo or Lunala. I started collecting like Pokemon cards back in XY, and then Sun and Moon had a new era in like 2016, almost 2017, and I picked Lunala, which was like a purple Elite Trainer box at the time. I have a good memory for Lunala. I remember pulling the best card, which was like the Secret Rare Ultra Ball out of an Elite Trainer box from Amazon, back when Amazon sold good Pokemon cards. But that's just like random facts I'm throwing at you. But this is cool we were able to do the raid. 3 great candy, bunch of XP. I still got some cool research to claim, which I think are Lapras with a bow, which could be shiny. So we'll see. However, I did this remote raid, which I also thought about this. Should I make a video on how to do these raids that I'm doing? Because the way I do it right now is through an app called Go Raid Party. Any apps that I talk about, by the way, are never sponsored unless I deliberately say so. And just to let you know, if you think I'm lying, it's literally, I legally would have to tell you. So I'm literally telling the truth. But yes, I would have to legally tell you if I did have a sponsor. I don't have a sponsor, obviously. But I really think it'd be cool to make a video like that, because I know there's always a bunch of people that definitely would love to do raids. I know for sure. Weather boosted 2857. That is dope. Now, I have the counters on my left. I don't know what the CP... Oh, yeah, I might be able to find it. Okay. So the 100% IVs is for the weather boosted is 2887, and then normal is the 2310. So good to know. Obviously mine is like 30 combat power lower, so I'm kind of cooked. However, all right, let's actually try and catch this. Now, there's a method to try and catching some of these legendary Pokemon that a lot of people have told me. One of the best things is to wait for it to attack, and then that's when you do your throw. And the reason you do that is because there's no chance of it hitting you if it already does the attack like this, and then you throw it, right? And then also the extra measure of making sure the excellent throw is at the actual smallest possible. So now, obviously, it's not going to reset on me. So once it attacks, it's going to do the same thing. But you always want to make sure that... Oh, it did reset on me. you always want to make sure your circle is small enough so you can hit the excellent throw. And sometimes this doesn't happen all the time, but there's a lot of times where you have this glitch, and I have it all the time, where basically your Pokemon will jump out first try, and you can either keep trying to catch the Pokemon and deal with it, or what I like to do personally is I click AR and then I AR back in. Now, note that there is a chance that your game will crash. AR mode is almost, I wouldn't say known for crashing, but it can be very likely that it does happen. So that's a very good chance for you to do that. Now, I simply do that when it jumps out of like 7 different Pokeballs of rare, like golden raspberry, and then you hit excellent throws, like beautiful excellent throws, and it still does that. That's basically when I think is the best time to do so, because then you know like it's genuinely bugging. And some people think, okay, by the way, I don't know how in the world I'm not throwing it high enough, but some people don't think it's a glitch. I've personally done so many remote raids, I guarantee it's a glitch. Now, I don't know if it's because it's like you're running back to your area. I don't know if it's like when you do a remote raid, it's like you're bugging somewhere. I don't know what it's specifically about. Thank you, excellent throw. I don't know if it's like a remote raid type of like behind the scenes bug or something, but I think personally it's like you're almost speed locked. That'd be like my theory on that, right? Like my theory is like you're kind of speed locked almost. How did that not excellent throw? I have this theory where it's like you kind of speed locked when it comes to remote raids, and that's why it jumps out first shake, because that's what happens when you do get speed locked is you jump out like first Pokeball shake. So that's kind of my guess on it, and that's why ARing AR back in kind of like tells the game that you're like not moving or anything. That's again just a complete theory, I guess. However, again, I've lost so many different Pokemon, and I've had some of the best throws, some of the greatest type of stuff. Now, I'm not putting on the best show right here because Lunala is really weird range. But I've definitely had numerous Pokemon where I've had like literally 8 to almost 12 Golden Raspberry excellent throws, and it still didn't catch, simply from a glitch. So again, it's either a glitch or the Pokemon rate was too high to catch, which that doesn't happen that often where it's like that hard to catch, right? So that's my guess. I mean, y'all can let me know. Lunala is being really annoying to catch here, unfortunately. It's such a high CP. It makes sense. 2,800 CP is obviously going to be more difficult to catch. If I was going to say Niantic. Scofely doesn't give me this Pokemon, I'd be very unfortunate. I've always said this. Like, I understand that there should be a difficulty when it comes to catching these Pokemon. But to not catch it at all, I think is complete, like, buns. And I say that because, well, spending remote raid pass costs money. There should be no reason after using all my heals, using all my revives, and using my remote raid that I shouldn't catch this Pokemon, right? That's what I think personally. Obviously, I could have hit 14 excellent throws in a row. All I did was about 4 or 5, which should be more than enough. And all these throws I'm hitting should be excellent. I'm going to keep it a buck. Half of these, or not, I'm going to say all. Let me not be like that. At minimum, half of these should be hitting. And the fact that they're not is... the game's doing bugging. The game's doing something. And then it's too high. I did the exact same throw. And Lunala is gone. Look, it is what it is. Scopely, I would love to not waste my remote raid, but if I have to, I have to. Anyways, let's go over the counters for Lunala. After Lunala tried to make me crash out, let's go over the counters so you can destroy it. Now, the best counters simply possible is like dark type moves. That's basically the big things I've noticed. So Lunala, and personally, I tagged a bunch of them so you can, look at this. Now, Tyranitar is the best one. I don't have a specific Tyranitar. I only have the Shadow version, which personally, I think the Shadow version is better. Always use Shadow version, and it's actually a big difference of the Shadow version. I've always said this Shadow Pokemon are better than normal Pokemon when it comes to raids. So counters will be Bite and Brutal Swing. The number 1 Pokemon technically is Mega Tyranitar. Make sure you use a Mega if you can. So Mega Tyranitar is number 1. Number 2 is Shadow Tyranitar. So Brutal Swing with the second attack. The first attack would be Bite, of course. Then the next one being Dawnwing's Necrozma. Now the good thing about Dawnwing's Necrozma is it has Shadow Claw, Moongeist Beam. Moongeist Beam is one of the highest attacks in Pokemon Go. So I highly recommend that you go and like combine it if you need to, or just make sure you have one of these powered up for it. Number 4 being Mega Absol. I don't have Mega Absol, so there's that. Mega Houndoom, Mega Gengar. This is a really interesting one. Shadow Weavile. I've always said this is a really good Pokemon. It's an underrated ice type in my personal opinion, but it's also the number 7th best Pokemon when it comes to dark types for these raids, with in specific Snarl and Foul Play. So exactly, I have ice types, but hopefully the ones you just heard before, those are the dark types you want to use. Now, number 8 being Darkrai. Now, Darkrai, the best moves will be Snarl and Shadow Ball, which is both what I have. Luckily, I got a shiny one back when I did like the raid weeks, the Wednesday raid weekends or whatever they're called. However, I have the shiny. This is a really good Pokemon to use, Dark and Shadow type. Because if you know from Lunala, I can't show it. I believe it's a Psychic type. And when it's a Psychic type, that means the best counters are going to be Dark and Ghost. So also other counters are like Mega Absol, but I didn't say that before. Mega Gengar. Kingambit's decent. I don't know what in the world that noise was. Shadow Mewtwo is decent. Psycho Cut. Hydreigon. I actually have Hydreigon right here. Hydreigon's good. Bite, Dark Pulse are going to be some of your best attacks. I'm looking on the site right here to make sure like I give you all the correct stuff, the correct info. Shadow Honchkrow is decent. Normal Weavile, Chandelure, and Mega Gardevoir because it has Shadow Ball. But I always give y'all Dollar Tree stuff. So if I look up dark types and I go to highest power, obviously Zacian's actually going to be a pretty decent one. Dark Bite and Dark Pulse is pretty decent. Yveltal is actually on the list as well. I didn't really add it, but Yveltal is a pretty decent Pokemon. Just make sure you have Dark type or Ghost type moves on it. And then obviously the Absols. Maybe Pawniard could even be pretty decent. Honchkrow, the Shadow version, it was said to be pretty good. And then if we go to Ghost types as well, Giratina is actually a fantastic one. Shadow Claw and Shadow Ball. And on top of that, Chandelure is decent. Shadow Chandelure, if you have it. Marsh Shadow could even be half decent. Again, if you literally have nothing, use what you have, right? So, in Gengar, Mega Gengar. So, Shadow, yeah, make sure you use Shadow Pokemon number 1, right? Megas, of course, on before Shadows, and then Shadow. But most of all, Ghost and Dark type moves are going to be your best bet. So, good luck to everyone. God bless. Jesus loves y'all. Have a fantastic day. Good luck with y'all Lunala raids.